Hello everyone, my name is Sarah and I'm the co-active life coach as well as the host for MindPod. Welcome to the first episode. This is a place where I will be inviting interesting human beings to explore an idea. There is no right, no wrong, no judgments, just browsing. So let's see what we can stir up. Our guest today is Basma Mukhtar, who has a master's degree in chemical engineering and working in the oil industry. She is born and raised in UAE and she has been one of my friends since 2005. So let's invite her in. Hi Basma.
Hey Sarah.
How are you?
Great. Thanks for inviting me to your show. And by the way, congratulations on the first episode.
Thank you and thanks for joining in. I'm really excited to have you on board.
Thank you.
Great. Okay. Let's get into it. Today we are going to explore friendship. And believe it or not, Lucy and I have been friends for 15 years. So I think we can bring up our own examples, our own experiences. So you ready?
Absolutely.
Great.
One of my favorite things to talk about, friendship and how amazing it can be and how amazing it can't be. So excited for this episode.
Absolutely, yeah. So what we can start with is looking into what roles do friendship play in our lives. What are your thoughts in that?
The roles of friendship in our lives, that's a really big one. I think we can all agree humans are social creatures. We need human connection to be healthy, happy individuals. That human connection comes partly from your family, partly from your partner in life, and the other third big part would be your friends. So friends are absolutely something that you cannot live without to be a healthy, happy individual.
Agreed. I mean, I think it does take up a lot of part in our lives, right? And I thought what we can do today, so we have a direction, is kind of like categorize the different levels of friendship into three. So we can start with when someone enters your life in the circle of friendship, because we all socialize, right? So when we get into that circle of friendship, when we invite them to your circle of friendship, how does it begin and what sort of creates us to want to get close to that person? So let's get general with that first and then we can move on to the next level.
So I mean, the way it usually starts, I think, is with a connection. That connection could be any sort of connection. It could be a common interest, a common hobby, a common workplace, common university, any common interest. Or we like the same books. We go to the same clubs. It could be anything. It starts off there, and then with time you begin to better understand the person, their personality traits, what's good about them, what's bad about them, the value they can add to your life, the value you can add to theirs. And as time goes by, that's when you can begin to categorize this relationship and see how far it can go.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned about colleagues, like jobs can make you have friends, right? So one thing that I want to highlight here is that you may have colleagues, you may have maybe teams, maybe your family members, they can all be friends. So I think every relationship will have a little element of friendship.
That's true. I think so too. It starts off there. I mean, what is a friend? It's someone that you enjoy hanging out with, or you can rely on when you need something, or somebody to do something with. So yeah, definitely the workplace is one place where you can start a friendship, the seed of a friendship, but it all depends with time whether it can lead to something more or not.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned having fun. So I had that on my list as well. Like, you gotta know how to have fun together for us to kind of evolve that friendship. And I think in the beginning, a lot of the times what we do is we share a lot of information, whether it's about us or, what's your work, what do you do, things like that. And also, you're nice in the beginning.
Yes,
No?
sure. Everyone's
Everyone's
trying to put out
nice.
their best impression, right?
Exactly. So you still have that, niceness, and you're like more willing to,
Be friendly,
uh-huh.
put in a favor or two, go a little bit out of your way for the
Mm-hmm.
other person. Yeah, but that can diminish over time, and this is the part where you start exploring
Mm-hmm.
what's really true about that person, what they really have to offer, what are your real similarities and what are the real differences between you two in terms of everything in life. And the masks go off, and
Mm-hmm.
then you know whether this is something that can move on to the next level or not.
Yeah. And speaking of next level, what gets us to a closer friendship? You want to start?
Well, I think there are a lot of different elements to a good friendship. Like there's got to be a little bit of fun. I mean, if we're looking at the ideal friendship, it needs to be somebody you enjoy, truly enjoy being around or doing things with. That should be there.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps that usually is, criteria number one for a friendship. It's just someone that you're excited to meet, you're happy to meet. I would say, I guess, the second thing is someone that you can communicate with, someone who understands you. You can share everything about yourself. They can share everything about themselves, and it's mutual. It's respected. There's no judgment. So that, I would say, would be the second thing that you would need to look at if it's available in that relationship or not.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I would say the third step is someone who's there when you need them. So you've shared everything, you've explored each other's personalities and traits and so on. But what's a friend if when you call them up to help you out with something and they're just not there?
Mm-hmm.
So I think definitely going through these stages, a friendship gets more stronger.
Yeah, I agree with all of that, actually. I also put here sharing things you don't share with your family members and partners. I feel like once you're comfortable, you kind of start doing that, right? Like, maybe it's about them, and maybe you're looking for advice, maybe you're looking for a support or whatever that is. And once you're able to comfortably share that, I think that your relationship's gotten closer.
That's absolutely true. And it's just something that I think is very interesting. There's quite a few people out there, and I'm guilty of that too. At some point in my life, I was a very private person. I would not share any of my problems with anyone, but I had a lot of friends who would share their problems with me and seek advice and so on and so forth. And for the longest time, I thought that was okay because I could handle my problems on my own. I don't need anyone's help or input and advice. And even though that might be true from a practical point of view, from an emotional point of view, from a bonding point of view, you can't really grow a friendship if you don't bond in that way and share your troubles with the other person. It has to be mutual. It's a key part of a relationship, being able to share the good and the bad with no restrictions.
I was an open book with you, and you weren't in the beginning. Right? And I felt like maybe you don't think I'm as close friend than I think you are to me. So I felt that distance.
Right. And this is the thing, at the time, I didn't think anyone could feel the distance. I thought everyone just, not seeing through this, privacy wall that I had over, but people were seeing it. You were seeing it and noticing it, and it was taking. Let's say it was a baggage that was preventing our relationship from moving further. And once I could let that go and start sharing my fears, my ambitions, my troubles, all of that, we've bonded so much since then. And I
Oh
think
yeah.
it was a critical part of
Oh,
getting our
absolutely.
friendship to move forward.
Yeah. That was like it's a step forward for sure, but a important step.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. And you also mentioned about help, like when you feel comfortable asking for help. And I think we all start with, easy helps, right? So it's like, okay, I want to buy an art. Would you know a good artist, for example? And slowly, you start seeing what are the demands and where can you meet those needs, or do you even want to meet those needs? And I think some friendships stay there, because there's a limit. And like you said, when we take that next step,
Transactional.
uh-huh, there's this
Hmm.
there's that, but it's about how people are receiving it and how you're receiving it. How much help are you willing to give them, how much support are you willing to give them. So the next level, so I named it as a deeper friendship. So what does that deeper friendship look like? And we've mentioned a couple of things, but I think this comes with consistency and mutual and connection, but on a further level. And Basma, like I always tell you that you're my sanity check. So like I trust your advice, I trust your intentions. There's a lot of that. And on top of that, if I don't feel like I don't know what's happening to me, then people on the deeper friendship level can help me through it.
That's absolutely true. And this is what a true friend is really someone who knows you better than you know yourself.
Oh yeah, I can't fool
That's
myself in front of you.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And that's when you really get into that the deeper friendship that you're talking about. It's just someone who knows what's wrong with you before you even know it. Knows that there's something that's bugging you, or there's a problem that's emotional or otherwise that you're going through that you might not have fully even figured out or realized. And then they know that that's definitely one of the things you find in a deeper friendship.
Yeah, and I want to add something else. So, earlier in the beginning of the podcast, I mentioned that we were friends for 15 years till today, but it's been an active friendship. So it's not like we didn't speak for a year or 2 years. We haven't had that gap, and
That's never
it felt effortless.
Hmm?
But there is effort.
Absolutely. Like every relationship is work. If anybody thinks, I mean, just taking a little detour here into just personal relationships with a partner, they are work. Everything is work. If you're just in it for the fun, it's never gonna go to that beautiful deeper friendship where you can really connect with someone and be yourself and enjoy the mental health benefits of having a really true and deep friend. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And moving on, I feel like I evolved because of the close friends that I've had around. So when I spend time with you, when I hear you talk, there's a lot of learning for me, and I've attained some knowledge that I would have never attained by myself.
Right. And that's something I think that should be there as well in a lot of friendships. I mean, value, right? Our time is valuable. It's one thing that you can never have twice off. You can never go back in time. So we need to be making better decisions about where to spend our time and make sure that we are getting something from getting some value from that. And one way is friends. So if there is a person in your life that you call a friend that you learn nothing from in any way, is not adding any value in your life whatsoever, that is time wasted, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we touched based on support, and you mentioned mental support. There's also the physical support, you know. So there are different kinds of support, and I think not one person can never fulfill all of that.
It's true.
However, if I use a metaphor, I look at it as friendship being the pillar of me. So if I'm the building, friendship can hold me even if there's an earthquake, if there's a quality support.
That's
That
deep.
makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. And if and it's a mutual thing, like you said, you know, like I'm gonna have to put in the quality in there, and you're gonna have to put in the quality in there, and together we hold the pillar. So when the earthquakes happen, no matter how big of a magnitude, it's stable. But
Yes.
if I'm putting too much and you're not, or the other way around, and even a tiniest earthquake could just break it. And then what do you do when you break it? What can you do when you break it? You can try to fix it, but again, it's a mutual effort. And at some point, you know, we kind of have to say goodbye to some of the pillars, right? Especially because we're no longer teenagers, always looking for having fun and sensation. You know, it gets deeper than that.
Yeah, I think for me that falls into a category of what I call convenience friends. So these are, and a lot of times you get really disappointed when you think that was a really good friendship and it was going somewhere, and then like you said, the smallest earthquake and it's over. It was so fragile because it was not built on anything solid. So these are friends that you hang out with, or you used to hang out with every single day in college, and then you graduate and you never see their face again.
Yeah.
The same thing at work. It could be somebody you have lunch breaks with, you hang out with on the weekends, on Thursdays after work, so on and so forth. You change your career, you switch your job, you get fired, you never see their face again. So that little earthquake doesn't even need to be an earthquake. It could just be the lack of convenience. Now it's not convenient to meet each other anymore. Now we need to put effort to meet each other, and you know, it comes to a surprise to a lot of people, but then later when they reflect back and go like, I should have seen the signs, you know, that day I needed a ride back home and that person wasn't there, or you know, something or the other. I should have seen the signs. But this is the thing, I think a lot of the times we as humans, we rush into things without really thinking it through, without considering all the aspects of things. You know, follow our heart, follow our gut, just go with it. But I think it's important to test a friendship.
How do you do that?
Give the person the opportunity to be the opportunity. I call it the opportunity to be in a position to help you out.
So kind of trusting to rely on and see if they're going to respond.
Yes, absolutely. And I think this is something that needs to be done before assuming in your head that this is a person that I can rely on. You need to back that up with something. There has to be an instance where you have relied on them and they have come forth. They have responded. If that has not happened, you are wrong in assuming that that person will be there for you. There needs to be proof or evidence that you could rely on that has happened previously. And I think a lot of people, and I'm guilty of that too, of falling for that and rushing into a friendship thinking and investing a lot of time that I wouldn't have invested in that friendship to see it fall apart with the smallest earthquake.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is support, guys. I mean, you know, there's so many ways we can look at it, but yeah, I think that was great. Also, we touched base on trust. I know that you got my back.
Right.
You know,
no matter what.
No matter what, yeah, exactly. There's trust, there's confidence. Like, we're at a point where we don't need that test.
No.
You know, And it also doesn't mean that we do 50-50. It's not 50-50. So I know I trust you to do a certain things that you're good at. Like, I won't come to you and expect you to do something that's out of your capacity.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think 50-50 only works if both parties are willing to put more. But
100%.
if you were sitting down there thinking, I did this, and then what did you do? And then you did that, and what did I do? And trying to split that to be a 50-50, I mean, money or otherwise, I mean, emotional favors or personal favors or time favors. If you're trying to split that 50-50, that is not a healthy way to do this. It only works if both parties are willing to do more.
Yeah.
If only one party is, then that's not a healthy friendship.
Yeah, that almost sounds like codependence.
Mhm.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know codependence, it looks like this is one person and then this is another person just leaning on, seeking validation, taking more than what you need to take, taking up their energy, taking up their time, asking them for a lot of help. So I think all of that is codependence, and that's the balance that you were talking about. It's like, okay, how do we kind of dance together?
And that is a tricky one. To find that balance is a tricky one because people are different, and you have givers. You have people who just give, and they don't ask for anything in return. They don't expect anything in return. They just keep on giving, and then one day they explode. They just say,
Tell me about
I
it.
am done giving, I am done being nice, no more Mrs. Nice or Mr. Nice. And but it's partially their fault. I mean, why did you spend all that time giving for somebody who has not done anything for you? And on the other side you have takers, and part of the blame as well goes to them. They're selfish. They just take and take and take, and they every opportunity that presents themselves to them, basically to take something, they go for it. And it's so difficult to find that balance, to be in a friendship where it's give and take. Really, truly, it is a very difficult thing.
Absolutely.
But if all through you stay aware of where you are, where they are, they've passed the test, they've been there when you needed them for something, and you've done the same. If you keep all these checks in place, definitely the chances of you being in a truly give and take mutual relationship increase.
Yeah, agreed. This is an interesting one. Being able to be comfortable with uncomfortable situations. So there's a lot of scenarios. It could be that you're upset with me and you're obviously not getting over it by yourself. So what do you do, right? So I think there's different ways of dealing with that. So if, let's say, you're upset from me and I go like, okay, I know there's something wrong, I can just ask you, like, hey, what's up? I'm sensing this. Can we talk about it? And I also know that many people are not confrontational. They don't want to talk about it. And there's another way to deal with that, which is more action oriented. So if Basma, you're the kind of person who needs a lot of space, spending time with yourself, then I know that, but then I needed you for 10 consecutive days. And I know that something is off. I would give you that space. But I can only do that if I know you well.
Right. So we're in the deeper friendship level where you truly know the person, sometimes even better than they know themselves. So you know that something is wrong, something's off. And perhaps that you've consumed a bit more of their energy than they can give you. So because all of this, you can just sort of fix the problem very easily by just letting that person be, giving that person their space to recover, and then move on from there. So but that only can really happen once you're in that level of friendship, because before that there's all the, the emotional drama, there's all the questions, where, why, how, so on and so forth. It can get ugly.
Oh yeah, and I mean, we did have our own kind of earthquakes, right?
Of course,
And
it wouldn't be a true friendship without a little bit of earthquakes.
exactly. And we've had fights that we both were uncomfortable with. But I think how we overcame that is trial and error, and really observing what worked, what didn't work, and talk about that. Not fight about that, but like, I think we first fought and then we learned how to talk to each other. We kind of found that balance, and then we got to a place where certain things I just know you need, and then there's certain things I still don't know, so I choose to ask you, and
Right.
and you're receiving.
Right. So I really like that you called it trial and error. I really like that, because that is exactly what it is. I mean, in the beginning, you don't exactly know how to deal with things, what you should do, what you should not do. But I think what kept us going so far is we both cared enough. We both wanted this friendship to go. We both saw the value that each other add in their lives. So that was there. That was unquestionable. And we're both complicated people, but because that was there, we were able to overcome the obstacles or the fights or the arguments or whatever. We were able to overcome that because, like you said, trial and error. Try this, didn't work, try that, didn't work, and keep trying different things until we understand each other so well that we're able to deal with things in a much better way. And I think it was our dedication, sort of, to make this friendship work that made that happen.
Yeah, 100%. The care is absolutely important, because that's what keeps us, do whatever we do. Why do we do what we do? Is because we care.
Absolutely.
And yeah, friendship's got that too. Right. And also, I think when we get very comfortable, we kind of do stupid things to each other too. Like, we act stupid, we say things and we're like, why did I share that with you? And we're absolutely okay with that. So I think a true friendship, you can really act stupid and you can do stupid stuff.
That, I have to say, I don't know. If you really can't be stupid around your friends, you need to just, I don't know, just like
you have issues.
Yeah, this relationship is not working. I mean, you're meeting a friend. You want to, feel better. You want to de-stress from work. You want to, and you have to put on a face. I mean, you put on a face every day at work. You put on a face sometimes with your family. Depends on the dynamics in your family. But what is the point of having friends and having to put a mask in front of them? That just makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, completely being able to be who you truly are and being in that no judgment, acceptance free zone is just a beautiful place to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I think we kind of established the roles the friendship can play in our lives and how it can sort of, influence us or affect us and how we respond to that. Let's move on to what can create a toxic friendship.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Toxic friendship. A lot.
Yeah.
I would say, one, no respect. If that would be the first thing I would say, for sure. If the person, and it's not just respect in terms of verbally respecting you, it's respecting who you are, your values, your dreams, your
Mhm.
goals, what you stand for, what you don't stand for.
Mm.
You see like these movies, Mean Girls,
Mhm.
and all these teenage chick flick movies in high school America. There's this group of girls and they're bullies. They're tight. They're supposedly a really tight
Best friend.
pack.
Yeah.
But there's always one girl in this tight pack that's being bullied in the group itself. That's being ridiculed. That what you're wearing is not as good as what I'm wearing. Or your bag is not as fancy as. And she is within that pack. She's supposedly a friend. But if there is no respect, if someone's putting you down, if someone's making you feel less than what you are, that is definitely a toxic friendship.
Yeah, I agree. What do you get out of that, right? Someone making you insecure, someone making you not confident, someone kind of like controlling you.
And it could be so casual, like, oh, looks like you put on another pound, or oh, that skirt makes you look a bit too fat, or it could be so casual, but that level of or the degree of putting someone's down in a friendship is just it's just completely unacceptable. And I think if anyone finds themselves in a friendship where they feel less than who they are, they should just walk out immediately.
Yeah. And earlier on we kind of mentioned assumptions, and I think you kind of gave an advice to that as well, saying that don't assume, test. Yeah, because if you assume, how do you know if that's true? That's in your head, right? Hasn't gone out of it, hasn't gotten the feedback.
We all have blind spots. We all do. It's we're not perfect. Our brains are not perfect. Our mental capacity are not perfect. And I just want to add another thing there. If everyone around you who truly cares about you is telling you that this is something that is toxic, this is something that's not good for you, I'm not saying just go ahead and throw it out the window just because, but you need to know that there is value in that it's definitely, there's no smoke without fire. So if everyone thinks the friendship that you're in is toxic for you, you need to hear them out.
Yeah, I think that's very important. Very.
And another thing I'd like to add on about is someone's reputation as well, because see, a lot of people, they go like, you're just saying that because that person did something bad to you, but they never did anything wrong to me. So yeah, they've only been good to me so far, so I don't see any reason to stop talking to them. And that, I have to say, is not a good argument, because if someone hurts consistently, hurts and harms the people around them, the people that they supposedly care about, if they've consistently hurt their best friends, their family, their colleagues, they have a track record of that, what makes you think you're so special that you're not gonna get hurt either? Like, it's bound to happen. It's bound to happen. And yeah, I think it's definitely something you should expect to come your way sooner or later.
Yeah, history records. Absolutely. Yeah, true. And unrealistic expectations, I think, can be very toxic. So it's something that I mentioned earlier. If I know your capabilities around your strengths and the challenges, I'm not gonna expect you to be perfect in your own challenges.
That comes with a very high level of understanding. I think it even starts with just smaller than that. I mean, unrealistic expectations. I think for me, It's someone expecting you to always pick them up, and you
Mm.
don't.
Mm.
You know, it starts with the smallest of things. They
True.
just expect you to, and they never do anything back. It's just an expectation. Someone who always expects you to pay the bill. Someone who always expects you to, I don't know, be available whenever you call them, to listen to their problems on and on and on for hours. Could be the same problems, but they just expect you to be there. And they emotionally blackmail you when you're not. I'm going through all of this and you're not there for me. So
Yeah.
I think unrealistic expectations can take on very many different forms and ways.
Yeah. And here's another thing, ego. So ego comes from a Latin word, I. So when it's me, basically, when it's always about that person, where's the balance?
The center of the universe, right? I think we all know at least one person who feels like they are the center of the universe, and how difficult it can be to be around that person who is the center of the universe. They always find a way to make everything about them. And it could, there's this thing as well, this competition. Like, you could be going to your friend and complaining about your day and how bad it has gone, and they could be like, oh, let me my day, you haven't heard about my day. You think, no, my, and that is just, it's just ridiculous. You're going there to de-stress, to release, to feel better, but instead it's turning into some competition where, oh, who's had the worst day, because one person is self-centered and cannot tolerate the conversation to be anything about other than themselves. So interesting characters they are.
Of course, absolutely. And you know what, taking the spotlight is not a bad thing. I think everyone should have spotlight at them at any point in time, but taking that chance from that person to yourself all the time is not fair.
No, absolutely not. And one of my favorite definitions of freedom are, your freedom ends basically when it invades other people's freedom, and it could be that. So your freedom to express ends when you obstruct other people's freedom to express. So if you're the one always expressing your emotions, your feelings, your thoughts, and not leaving any room for the other person to do that, then you are invading their freedom.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. It's like you're driving and then you slow down and take a break. Like you literally like put on the brake pad in order for other people to cross. You can't just keep going. Yeah. Wow. Right. So looks like there's so many ways friendship can go toxic. So how can we prevent it from becoming toxic? And what are the ways to having a better friendship?
I would say, first of all, know yourself. Know yourself, who you are, what you like, what you don't like, what you can accept, what you cannot accept. What are your red lines? Because every person's different, and what's toxic, I think what's toxic to one person will be toxic to a lot of people in general, but we're all different, and you won't be able to know if someone is toxic to you if you don't know yourself, you don't know what you stand for, your values, and so on. So I would say that would be step number one. And then you see if the people around you are more towards doing things that you don't like, or things that you like. I think that's step number one. And then the next thing is basically, some people are just plain toxic. There's no fixing them, right? So you need to realize whether that person is toxic or is the relationship toxic and can be fixed, because these are two different things.
Absolutely. Yeah. So being able to identify that is also important.
Right. For example, someone who is always selfish, like always expecting things and never giving anything in return. That is a toxic person, and that is probably something that cannot be fixed. The only way, I guess, to prevent a toxic relationship with that person is to notice this signs well in advance, before getting into something deeper.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like that you mentioned that, because I was thinking of asking. So just asking any questions, assumptions that you have in your head, just go ahead and ask. However, if the person herself or himself is toxic, no matter how much you ask, you're not going to get it.
No, you're not. It's just not going to happen. And manipulative people, they can turn tables like no tomorrow. No matter what you bring the way, what case you put up. Yes, but I was there that day, or I did that. They can just turn tables around, and you wouldn't know where you are, and end up back into the square one again. And manipulative people are just one of the worst people that you can ever deal with.
Yeah, and manipulating people also have this quality of taking things or people for granted. And I think we all get to that point at some point. You get comfortable, you go like, oh, this person will take care of that, this person is good at this, so there's you can ask for help from there. And we forget to appreciate each other. We forget to remember that these people have their lives too, and they go through their own struggles. So thinking that they're always going to be available and taking them for granted without any appreciation is toxic as well. So doing the opposite, which is appreciating more, noticing the small things, being considerate, can really improve the relationship.
Right. And I think one way where, I guess, a toxic relationship can be fixed in that context is if basically the relationship, neither of the people are toxic, but let's say just one person is a giver. It's just a giver, always giving, and the other person gets lazy. It's complacent because the other person's always offering. So that can turn into a toxic relationship, because you have this giver who's not comfortable with asking for anything back, and will always offer to give, but they don't feel good inside. They feel like something's missing. They begin to feel used over time. So I think this is one of the
triggers,
toxic sort of environments that can be fixed if the giver speaks up and says, this is not okay with me. This is the kind of person I am, and I will always be, but I would really appreciate it if you step up sometimes and offer to do things for me as well. And then it's up to the other person to realize at that time that, it's been months since I've done anything nice for the other person, and they're always doing nice things for me, and step up their game and begin to appreciate their friend more and stop taking them for granted. And I think that's one way to fix things. Communication is key.
Oh yeah. And I like how you said speak up, because I was saying ask, but absolutely, speaking up is a courageous act as well, and it also shows that there is trust, that your friend will listen.
Yeah, I think speaking up might be one of the difficult things to truly speak up these days. I feel like people, they don't feel comfortable enough to express their desires, express their wants, express what they're seeking. They just a lot of people pleasers, just trying to make everyone happy, and them not
Forget
really
about
happy.
themselves. Yeah, true, true. And for me, this is a really big one. Accepting and embracing the differences.
Right.
Yeah, because no two people can be the exact same. And if, let's say, my value or my belief clash with how you think, you probably think the opposite. Not taking that personally and actually respecting that and asking you questions like, okay, so tell me more about your views. Being curious about it.
Yeah, that is so difficult, I think, these days.
Oh yeah, it is.
Everyone it's there are no listeners. I mean, you enter a debate, if two people have two different opinions, the person is not listening and to understand the other person's point of view. Rather, they're waiting for the person to talk so they can talk. So that's, yeah, I mean, there's no two people that are going to be the same. You will have differences. You will have differences in opinion and beliefs and attitudes and everything. And the only way is to respect the other person enough to first listen, truly listen to their opinion, their wants, their beliefs, etc. Understand it, and then finally accept it. But you don't get to acceptance unless you first have that respect, that mutual respect, to first listen to the other person, truly understand, and then accept. But you have to take it, the good and the bad. There's a lot of friendships out there where people sort of invade the other person and ask them to change a lot of things about themselves. You need to do this. Oh, you can't do that. You can't hang out with this person. They're not good for you. Oh, you can't go to these places. It's oh, you need to change your wardrobe. It could be so many different things. And these can be very toxic friendships as well, ones where they're asking you to change a lot of things about yourself. A true friendship is when you accept the person for who they are, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah, 100%. And I want to add something there. When you have a friendship and we want to support, we want to support the people genuinely, we kind of we can't get into this bad habit of supporting them in the way we think is a good support. And
right.
Yeah, and I think whatever we just mentioned now, like ask, speak up, listen, respect, I think if you do all that, then you'll be able to find the support that person needs and be that support, rather than you saying, but I'm trying to support you here. Why aren't you being thankful, for example?
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people feel really bad when they give advice to somebody that they think they should take, and then they don't take it. And then they feel really bad, like, why didn't you take my advice? But friendship doesn't mean the other person follows your instructions A to Z. That's not how it works. You have no control over the other person. The other person makes their own decisions. A supportive friend is there regardless of the choice the friend makes. It not only, you don't only support your friend if they make the choice that you think is right. You need to support them regardless, whichever choice they make in their life, because you don't own them, you don't possess them. They have their own mind and they have their own capacity to make their decisions, and the consequences are going to be theirs to deal with on their own. So you give your advice and you get your thank you, and there's no strings attached.
Yeah, don't take that personal. It's their life. We're not living them, they're living them.
Right.
Yeah, great. Well, we've come to an end of the show. Thank you so much, Basma. It was super exciting and interesting. I had a lot of fun with you. So thank you for joining.
Likewise. Thank you for having me, and I look forward to being back again.
Oh yeah, I miss you, by the way.
Likewise. Lockdown, quarantine, great times.
Yep. Can't wait to see you. And thank you everyone for joining. I hope you had a good time and stay tuned for the next episode. Until then, bye-bye.